Angels waging war in the unseen realm. Global events fulfilling biblical prophecy. Eternal life. What lies beyond mortality? From analyzing the paranormal from a biblical worldview to the discussion of cutting-edge science and technology. Conspiracy, discovery, special investigative reports. Unafraid to explore the challenging issues facing humanity. Welcome to another edition of Skywatch TV.
There were giants in the earth in those days, so where is the evidence in these days? Welcome to Skywatch TV. I'm Derek Gilbert. Joining me in studio, the men behind Gen 6 Productions, the producers of the forthcoming documentary film, Episode 3 in the True Legends documentary series, There Were Giants, and the men behind the upcoming True Legends Conference we'll tell you about later in the program. Please welcome back Steve Quayle and Timothy Alberino. The evidence, the bones of giants. This is something skeptics will often point to and say, if there were giants in the earth in those days, where is the physical evidence today? In the film, I understand you talk to people who have handled such evidence personally.
And to answer that question, in most cases, the evidence has been long confiscated. But what's unique about the island of Sardinia, and the reason why we went there, was because it's fresh. I mean, the Smithsonian cover-up that happened in the United States, the same level, even to a greater extent, happened on the island of Sardinia and is still happening today. So what that means is that there are individuals alive today who we spoke with in our film and all over the island of Sardinia who have not only witnessed the confiscation of bones, but participated in digging them up and basically giving them over to the authorities. And we document half a dozen, at least, cases in our film.
Now, how similar were the stories that you heard from the witnesses in Sardinia to the stories you were hearing from Ecuador and was it Bolivia or was it Ecuador where you were getting access to the
Well, the stories are similar all over the world when you deal with giants and when you deal with the remains of giants. And in our first film, we documented at great length some of the chronicles from the conquest of the Incan Empire in Peru. And yes, it's lots of the same kind of material, but still happening in Sardinia, still happening to this day.
And is it also the Roman Catholic Church there as in South America?
That's the difference, yes. In the United States, it was primarily the Smithsonian Institution. In Sardinia and elsewhere in the world, it is the Vatican that definitely knows. There's no question, zero, that the Vatican knows. No question. How do I know that? Because the digs are happening beneath their churches in many cases.
And that's what I was getting to, because it was the church there in, and forgive me, I've forgotten the name of the city now. It was Cusco where...
Yes, in Cusco, and there's the Catholic churches are, in many cases, cathedrals, churches, chapels built on top of archaeological sites of great import. And it's no different in Sardinia. In fact, but it's not only the Catholic Church in Sardinia, it's also the authorities from the capital city of Cagliari in Sardinia and the Italian authorities that are involved in this. And again, ongoing. To this day, they're excavating giants in Sardinia. I can say that I have 100% assurance, having gone there twice, having done very deep investigations.
And having the Vatican, helicopter overhead, probably keeping eyes on you.
Yeah, they're still extracting giants from the ground in Sardinia.
And I think, and let me just interrupt, the closer they got to an active dig, that's when the little bureaucrat called in, and pretty soon they've got a helicopter overhead. And
yeah, that actually happened.
It wasn't a little helicopter,
really?
It's a big a very expensive one. It was like a Eurocopter.
Yep, so that's very active situation, the cover-up. And there's a specific case, I'll give you a specific case in the film. We have many, but there's a specific case called the excavation of Santa Anastasia. What is Santa Anastasia? It's a church. And beneath this church are ruins of what are called nuraghi, stone megalithic towers, and tombs of the giants. That's what they're called, the tombs of the giants. There were ruins in the vicinity. The church is literally sitting right on top of them. The excavation was happening in Santa Anastasia in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and we have two individuals who worked separately, who worked at different time frames, were not working together on the excavation at different times. Both of them excavated multiple skeletons, mummified bodies of giants. We're talking from 9 to 10.5+ feet tall. And right underneath this, the property of the church. And where do you think the bones went when they pulled them out of the ground? From the ground into the church. And then the next day, gone. Everything gone. And they were told to shut their mouths, not to talk about the fact that they had discovered the bodies. In fact, in one case, they would lay the 10.5 feet tall giants out in the churchyard, and they would wait for inspectors to come from the capital city. Very much analogous to the situation that was happening in Peru during the conquest of the Incan Empire, when the royal inspectors from Spain were going around with the priests of the Catholic Church, extirpating idolatry among the natives in Peru, and gathering up these bones of the giants and the full skeletons of giants and burning them. Why? Because the natives were worshiping them. Well, the cult of giant worship was very much a part of the past of Sardinia. So we have one testimony in our film of an individual at the Santa Anastasia excavation that he opened up a sealed, what would you call it, a sealed compartment inside of the ruins. They opened it up, and what did they find? A dead giant sitting. In fact, it's the cover of our DVD. A dead giant sitting, mummified, sitting in a chair, dead, with seashells on a plate, giant cup, seashells, mussel shells, clam shells, mussel shells on a plate that he had been eating, and suddenly he died. So this is the kind of, truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
That's why our series is called True Legends, and this cover-up is alive in Sardinia. In fact, we were told by multiple individuals that there's a joke in Sardinia: all the millionaires are archaeologists. And the reason why is because there are copious amounts of gold and precious stones related to the giants that have been discovered in Sardinia. There's a black market. The stuff goes into a black hole. It disappears. And when I asked the individuals who were, by the way, hired by the municipality to dig up the bones of giants, which were then secreted away, and then they're told to shut up, don't talk about it. In fact, in some cases, whole villages witnessed the extraction of the giant bones and were told to shut their mouths about it. There is a black market, these guys told me, and when I asked them who's taking the bones, where are they going? The Vatican, the Illuminati, the Masons, and so forth. This is what they're telling us. They use them in their ceremonies. There's a black market for the sale, for the purchasing of artifacts relating to giants, artifacts relating to the pre-flood world, and I'm sure Steve has some things to say about that.
Some of the interesting people that the Lord has brought across my path, and seriously, you could not meet these people, but the international market in antiquities is off the charts. Everybody would know that. You know, I mean, a bust of a Greek god that's true period, you know, I mean, it's kind of like name your price, you know. But when it comes to the giant artifacts, on my website, Derek, stevequayle.com, I have a photograph, and people can go there, and it's actually a gold pendant, okay? Now, why is this interesting? With a giant that looks like he's got a kind of like a helmet on, and somebody standing up to his knee. That came from the area of Nimret Dog. A lady had heard me on Coast to Coast, and it is on my website. It's a jade-like stone in a circular pendant, but the illustration of a giant on it is amazing. Those things are priceless. And that whole area around Nemrut is spelled N-E-M-R-U-T, Dog, D-A-G-H, is very fascinating. So you've got two levels of purchaser in the antiquities market. You've got the people that just want to have, you know, really rare stuff, and that's called bragging rights, okay? Then there's the other one, I'll name this isn't what they call them, but the conjuring rights, okay? Conjuring rights are when you acquire something with supernatural attestation or legend. For instance, the Spear of Longinus, which Hitler wanted more than anything, and which when he sent the Ahnenerbe around the world looking for supernaturally imparted artifacts, obviously he was looking for the chalice too, the Holy Grail. And so in the realm of international antiquities trading, you have those two groups of buyers. Now look, we all know that Jesus said the whole world lies in the evil one. The love of money is the root of all evil. The control of money is the control of all evil. So not only are they looking for stuff they can extract live DNA from, like the most sought after thing are mummified giants, okay? And I've talked to people in the desert Southwest, again, who have literally come upon a cave with a king and queen giant, red-haired, you know, and literally mummified. And he said it was like they just were sleeping, you know? And so, you know, you don't know and I don't know that they're telling the truth. But when you get like 5 or 6 different people saying that about the same area, and even the Native Americans talking about it's the caves, the famous Lovelock Cave in Nevada. I'll tell you a funny story about that. I was on Coast to Coast, and the actual giant red-headed mummies were there. Within 2 weeks after talking about them on Coast to Coast, they were gone, okay? So I know they pay attention to what we're doing. Obviously, they thought enough of what Tim and our film crew were doing to make sure the helicopter was sent up. The idea is this, that they will cover up and cover over at all costs. I know that sounds redundant, but it's truly the case. And they only dig up to sell up. In other words, you know, the price. Well, what would, put it into perspective, what do you think someone's, if they'll pay a million bucks for an actual Tyrannosaurus Rex, even a skeleton, you know, even just the head, what will they pay for a 36-inch or a 60-inch skull, okay? Or the 42-inch skull from the eye socket to the back. And in our first DVD, we dealt with all the conquistadors and Pizarro and the different people talking. And again, the Catholic cover-up. What's interesting is the Native American sacred sites, the Department of Defense funded a study by the University of Arizona, and we actually got permission to reprint a lot of it, as much as I think, I don't know, the first 100 pages. But what it shows is the Department of Defense did not take lightly the idea that there are Stargate locations, that there are power sources they were unaware of, you know, and obviously they want to honor the Native Americans' beliefs, but also to control them. What you'll find out, it's true, the military bases in America were based many times, I would almost say almost all times, on the underground tunnel systems that not only go through South America, the Shinkana, but throughout the entire planet. And even in between Antarctica and Patagonia, there are tunnels. And so it's fascinating because one of I think it was on YouTube, they're even showing giant gates on Mars, you know, or giant gates in the Antarctic. Now listen, the Antarctic has so many independent, verifiable sources of what people have found, from the British SAS to the Nazis to the U.S. Special Forces. They're always encountering entities, and that's what the Native Americans are telling us too. The entities are coming forth. The entities are telling them what's in the future. Well, obviously, what is, Tom quotes in Isaiah, was it 14, where giants are coming, and behold, I send them. What is that? Does it, you know, I think it's Isaiah 14 in the Septuagint.
Open the gates, ye rulers.
Yeah, open the gates, ye rulers. Giants are
coming to fulfill my wrath.
To fulfill my wrath.
Septuagint version.
Right. And what's critical about that, you go then to the book of Joel, and there are Christians claiming that Joel's army is them. Joel's army is not able to leap over tall walls in a single bound.
No, that's the army from Revelation 9.
Yes, you got it. And it's a supernatural thing. And here's, I was praying about this. This is interesting. The super soldier program, in which they're taking giant DNA, there's genes, they call them, obviously the Methuselah gene and the Hercules gene. They're imparting those, or they're inserting those, okay, into human beings, soldiers, to make them super soldiers. And I was praying about this, meditating, and I just felt like, of course, the very army that God has reserved is to deal with the army men have made, because men are in rebellion. The kings of the earth have set themselves against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, we will not have this man Jesus rule over us. I mean, when it's battlefield earth, it's going to be way beyond what Hollywood has even considered. And so, you know, the important part of this is that the bones, now again, they're into extractable DNA. Everybody's looking for it. When they found, good night, in Iraq, Gilgamesh's tomb, Gilgamesh was almost totally viable. Means obviously the spirit was on him. So here's one of the things that I really believe people have got to understand. With the Human Genome Project trying to identify the Rephaim gene, and I'll call it RG, okay? They're looking for the demons. Jesus talked about an unclean spirit going out. What happens when they reconstitute the entity? You really want to see Attila the Hun, number 2? Or, I don't think so, but that's what they're trying to do. So the whole idea of a genetic Armageddon, the whole idea of the giants, the whole idea. By the way, this picture that Tim, had designed, and he's the designer of the case, and we had a really good Hollywood sketch artist do the
concept artist. Yep.
Yeah, concept artist. But if you'll notice this is almost an identical, and I'm going to share this. This is critical. There was a movie with Barry Sullivan, and it was called The Demon Planet. And then they changed the title to The Vampire Planet. It might have been 1954. And there is a scene in the movie with a giant sitting around a table like this, kind of hunched over. Now, notice this. The spirits of the giants, or those, they go to Mars, and the spirit of the giants are the demons that are afflicting the space travelers. And you may have to look at it, but just look up Barry Sullivan movies. And I mean, it's important. So when Tim said this, I said, because this is an image that was explained to you by one of the eyewitnesses.
Yes, this is part of the testimony of one of our.
So Hollywood and the intelligence agencies' collusion, the fact that that was in that movie, it was mind-boggling. So obviously they were telegraphing, and I believe that I can't prove it yet. If I could, did they tell you the exact date of this?
No, it was in the early 80s.
Okay. The interesting thing is that we're seeing it with more and more science fiction. Science fiction is getting darker, is becoming more evil, and I guess this would be an attempt at saying they have an appetite for human flesh, and now it's even if you will, a multi-dimensional vampirism.
Well, we're even seeing it in what's supposed to pass for a sitcom today on Netflix, the program about the woman who's a cannibal and her husband's got to try to.
Drew Barrymore.
Right, Drew Barrymore's new series.
And maybe Drew Bloodymore. I mean, this is sick. I mean, Derek, Tim, this is a sick thing that they're trying to pass off cannibalism as humor. It's a sick thing that they're genetically altering us with, all the different additives made from baby parts, And I mean, if that's not the most gruesome, most disgusting, and yet, to a large extent, the mainstream church has been silent.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the greatest travesty and the greatest answerable position to God. Saying all that, the giants are the ones they're coming back.
And as we discussed in a previous program, one of the things I stumbled onto was that the ancient Amorites, the Canaanite kings of Ugarit, were trying to summon them in their coronation rituals 3,200 years ago. Now we've just got a scientific way of becoming demonically possessed. Just a few minutes left. We'll talk about the conference coming up, True Legends, the conference in September. Details on that with Steve Coyle and Timothy Alberino right after this on Skywatch TV.
You know the textbook history of America, but secretive institutions have worked behind the scenes to conceal a darker secret.
There were giants in the earth in those days.
Cloud Eaters, as the tribal leaders knew them, not only existed, they brought ritual cannibalism and pre-Columbian, dragon-worshipping interlopers to ancient American soil. And then they took women and fathered hideous monsters. Their secret has been known to academics and underground societies for hundreds of years. And these legions know something else, too, that's been suppressed until now. The date when the Cloud Eaters shall return. Over the last year, Stephen Quayle and Dr. Thomas R. Horn met secretly with the leaders of the Hopi, Zuni, and Ute Nation tribes. Clandestine locations were pointed out to them, where the giants are kept and will rise again. They examined the documentation of deified, six-toed, six-fingered, double-row teeth mutants buried on American soil. They were told where the stargates are that reveal the future to medicine men before it happens. And they uncovered what's been hidden in plain sight by the Great Smithsonian Institute for more than 200 years. Now, for the first time in their decades of investigative work together, legendary radio veterans and prolific authors Steve Quayle and Tom Horn pull out all the stops to reveal a truth that demands the history and destiny of America be re-examined. Nothing will be held back on what is now indisputably the greatest achievement of their life's work together in unearthing the lost world of the Cloud Eaters. Join Stephen Quayle and Dr. Thomas Horn on their historic journey and discover ancient civilizations where the past and future intersect. You will encounter the pre-flood architecture of the Giant Kings, what caused the Anasazi to disappear overnight, and the sacred mountains where the giant bones are kept. Coming this May from Defender Publishing, Unearthing the Lost World of the Cloud Eaters, compelling evidence of the incursions of giants, their extraordinary technology, and imminent return.
After decades of investigative work together, the moment we've been waiting for is finally here. Legendary authors Stephen Quayle and Dr. Thomas Horn reveal what is now indisputably the greatest achievement of their life's work together in the Unearthing the Lost World of the Cloud Eaters special collection. When you purchase this once-in-a-lifetime special offer, you'll receive the brand new There Were Giants documentary film. In this groundbreaking full-length DVD, you'll travel with Stephen Quayle and Dr. Thomas Horn to the historical clandestine places where giants are actually buried on American soil. You'll discover the ancient locations of tribal stargates and what's been hidden in plain sight by the Great Smithsonian Institute for more than 200 years. Plus, Defender Publishing is proud to introduce the new collaborative companion book, Unearthing the Lost World of the Cloud Eaters. Walk with Stephen Quayle and Dr. Thomas Horn as they meet secretly with the leaders of the Hopi, Zuni, and Ute Nation tribes to learn about the pre-flood architecture of the Giant Kings. Learn why the ancient Anasazi disappeared overnight, who the dragon-worshipping giant invaders of early America were, and how they taught natives ritual cannibalism to change their DNA into fit extensions for spirits of dead giants, and so much more. In addition, when you order the Unearthing the Lost World of the Cloud Eaters special collection, you'll also receive Shadow Hand, the over 24-hour, never-before-offered Steve Quayle and Tom Horn definitive audio series on CD. This brand new audio collection discloses the terrifying truth behind the WikiLeaks emails and the push for official disclosure of so-called aliens in 2017. And as a bonus, the new Shadowhand audio series includes the most requested collections ever produced by Steve Quayle and Thomas Horn. The Coming Zombie Apocalypse, As It Was in the Days of Noah, Psychotronic Warfare, and The Coming Replacement Humans, over 24 hours on audio CD. But that's not all. Also included in this special offer while supplies last, 2 brand new free gift books for your library or to give away as gifts. Sold separately, this amazing collection represents a total value of over $175. Yours for only $39.95 beginning in May. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own the Unearthing the Lost World of the Cloud Eaters special collection, available exclusively at the Skywatch TV store. Order online now or call 1-844-750-4985.
Welcome back to Skywatch TV. We're having a fascinating conversation. Steve Quayle, Timothy Alberino, the producer, director, writer, host of forthcoming documentary, True Legends, Episode 3, There Were Giants. being released in conjunction with the book by Steve Quayle and Tom Horn, Unearthing the Lost World of the Cloud Eaters. And you'll see more about that in the network broadcasts for Skywatch TV. Just a few minutes left, so let's recapitulate. We talked about this in the previous program, but just for people who might have missed that or skipped past that, whatever, True Legends, the conference, September 15th through the 17th, coming to Branson, Missouri. Who do you have on the lineup?
We've got Dr. Michael Lake, and this is in no order. Timothy Alberino, Anselm P. Rambla, who is featured in our second Unholy See. We've got Dr. Thomas Horn, known to us as Who Love Him, Tom.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The guy who painted my office.
Yeah,
Just,
yes. And I'll be there. And L.A. Marzulli. And what's going to be interesting is that as we have all of these speakers, it's going to be kind of like a teach-and-R. And it's my goal, instead of splitting up and breaking the coherent teaching or revelation, to give everybody enough time to develop what they feel the Lord wants them to present, and then to take questions identified. Questions will have to be, submitted and handled in a way, because you don't want the himmers and hars, So those who are familiar with the different writings, and it's interesting because, again, this is going to be a conference in Branson, Missouri, and it's going to be on the September 15th to the 17th. I'm still, what is this month? February? I think I need to jump space or something to catch up with reality.
Well, we have that because people are watching this in April or May. So
okay. Well, great.
Missing time.
Missing time. You don't believe in quantum physics? You just saw your first lesson in it. But the point is that we're really excited. Branson, we can handle, I believe, up to 3,000 people.
Wow.
And we're going to be at the Mansion, which is kind of a cool place because they've got large screens, great acoustics. And I think it'll be a great time for people to come out and just really sit and talk with the people that have affected their life. And that's what it's about, Derek. Everything you do, everything Tim does, everything I do, we're giving an account of our faith, but we're also giving a preview of the future. And the greatest survival tool is basically here. And it comes in the spiritual realm, too.
And Tim, the website for people who want to register for the conference?
Gen6conferences.com. And that's GNSIX conferences.com.
GEN, right?
Yeah.
GENSIX conferences.com.
All right, September 15th through the 17th, the Mansion Theater in Branson, Missouri. And boy, it's, well, we're excited because we're close by. In fact, we can take back roads and be there in an hour from where we live. So for us, that's kind of a rare thing, being able to get to a conference without having to leave our vehicle. Well, we're excited about it. We're looking forward to the film once it's released. And of course, the book, this is cutting edge information that I've not heard anywhere else to this point. Really looking forward to this. Fellows, thanks for making the trip down here. And we look forward to seeing you in September, if not sooner. And we thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is Skywatch TV.